Hey guys, MoiDawg here, and today we're going to be going over the patch notes for Battlefield 6 Season 1. An official Battlefield comms post earlier today, they listed every single change coming to update 1.1.1.0, and there's like hundreds. There are so many fixes, tweaks, improvements. We have movement changes, dispersion changes for weapons, bug fixes. There is a lot to unpack here. There's so much so that I'm only going to focus on the important bits, the things that you're actually going to want to pay attention to when you jump in-game on Tuesday. Additionally, we also had the Battlefield 6 community update, latest changes and preparing for Season 1 post that was posted just before that as well. And in here, we get some more information on some proposed changes for Season 1, including things like assignments. Some of those assignments that have been a little too crazy. It's been almost impossible to finish some of the adrenaline injectors, the 150 headshot type things. There's a lot of changes and proposed changes in this post as well, so we'll also go over this. By the end of the video, you're going to be able to load up in Battlefield 6 on Tuesday, hit the ground running, and you'll be good to go. So let's just dive into it. If you like the video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Battlefield 6. All right, this is the official post here, and a bit of housekeeping before we get into the actual details. At 9 UTC, which is about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for those of us in the United States, we'll actually get the update to the game, restart Steam, run the update, but we won't actually be able to play any of the new content until later in the day, 1500 UTC, or about midday for those of us in the United States. So run the update, but you won't be able to actually play Season 1 or access any of the Battle Pass until later in the day. Now, there is a lot of major updates, as they call them, major updates for Season 1, and the first one is improved core movement and animations, including smoother landings, faster stance transitions, better vaulting behavior, and reduced bouncing issues on landing or spawning. So, the bouncing has been one of my biggest pet peeves, where you feel like you're in cover, you back up, and then you're just kind of vaulted. Also landing, sometimes you roll and also vault. Reworked weapon dispersion to better align accuracy and handling with each weapon's intended design and performance over range. These changes address cases where accuracy behaved inconsistently, such as dispersion not properly settling after sprinting, and bring overall firing behavior closer to the intended balance between precision control and weapon power. So, a lot of complaints right now in the gunplay are that people are sprinting around and lasering with SMGs at long ranges. This looks like it will dial the SMG dominance back just a little bit. Being able to have such tight shots that far away from the barrel for an SMG is a bit ridiculous, and the dispersion, I think it's a really interesting way to bring a little bit of balance. They're not mentioning bloom or recoil or even damage drop-off, just bullet dispersion. So hopefully we should see rifles that should be doing proper long-range damage and not getting outshot by the SMGs. Hopefully we can see those start to come back in some of the bigger maps, because right now everyone's running MP5 is the go-to for almost every single map right now. Same with the PW782. Significant visibility and lighting improvements with better exposure transitions, interior lighting, and reduced fog and smoke persistence. Reduced fog and smoke persistence, I'm a little... I think the smoke specifically is when like buildings crumble, not necessarily your smoke grenades. The environmental smoke, which is kind of nice. Some of the stuff does last a long time. I personally don't think there's an issue with it, but apparently there is. But the interior lighting, the transitions being basically flash banged every time you want to look out a window or get out of a building, that stuff, modern games, UE5, we see it a lot too. So it wasn't surprising seeing it in Battlefield 6, but I'm glad they're able to reduce that. The audio overhaul, adding new projectile flybys, destruction and explosion sounds, refined vehicle and weapon mixes, and improved haptic feedback across multiple interactions, and map fixes across multiple locations, resolving spawn animations, out-of-bound issues, misaligned assets, and general stability across Conquest, Breakthrough, and Rush modes. So, overall, these are the major changes, fixing some very important bugs, tweaking some audio, making the visuals that much more appealing, because it is so annoying getting flashbanged, and I cannot wait to see more than just MP5s on the battlefield. So here are a bit more of the specific line items. We're going to bounce around. There's going to be cuts in this one because I don't want to read all of this for you guys. So first one for you snipers out there, improved steady aim and sight centering for more consistent precision. Steady aim I thought has been kind of okay. I don't use it that often, so hopefully this makes it far better. And then fixed an issue where movement could interrupt steady aim. So if you ever steady aim and you kind of AD strafe a little bit, it would break out of it. Well, now you're going to have a nice smooth steady aim. Now, whether or not you were aware of it, if you were to run around and jump, and while you were jumping, you were firing your weapon, or immediately upon landing, you were firing your weapon, that fire is incredibly inaccurate. You don't want to have a game, at least with Battlefield 6, where you can jump and just precision fire every single person, and bunny hopping would be rampant, be crazy. So there's an inaccuracy percentage applied to you, and they have currently found a bug that even after you're done jumping, you would jump, complete your jump, and then continue moving, that jump inaccuracy would still be on your character, causing just wild shots. So if you ever felt like you were jumping around and moving like normal, but you still couldn't hit people, you weren't crazy, there was a bug, and this has been fixed. There's also a couple visibility changes. They've improved lighting precision for visibility while hip firing and aiming down sights. And they've also had small improvements to weapon and camera sway for smoother movement. So your visuals while you're moving around, as well as aiming, hip firing, it should be smoother from a camera perspective, but also should be lighter so you can just actually acquire targets and see enemies in front of you. It's been, the visibility in Battlefield 6 has been pretty tough up until this point. There's also a couple melee changes. I don't know if y'all ran into this, but now that I'm reading the patch notes here, it's all starting to make sense to me. But fixed takedown inconsistencies, allowing players to properly perform melee takedowns even near walls. So I know I don't even know how many times I've tried to take down someone that is flush up against a wall or kind of in a corner, and it just will not work. They turn around and get shot, and well, now you can actually do that. So there must have been some environmental mesh or something that was preventing the takedown to actually initiate. Now we can finally do it. Additionally, there were times where if you were shooting and you took melee damage, it would actually prevent you to fire. So fixed an issue where taking melee damage interrupted weapon fire. I think maybe 1 or 2 times over now 70 hours, I would get hit with a hammer or sliced with a knife and your full auto would stop. So they fixed that there too. Oh, and not a bug fix, but a feature implementation. They have added parachute customization for soldiers. I'll throw up something I found on Twitter or Reddit, wherever I found it the other day. But obviously, this is not just for the Battlefield Battle Royale, because you're going to be dropping into the BR, but parachute customization is here, and there you go. Now we can customize our chutes. Now, we don't have any information on the supply bag just yet. If you weren't aware, I'm sure you've run into this, though. The supply bag, as the dev said, if it's on complicated mesh, like rocks or weird like railings, anything that isn't just flat surface, they say sometimes it will just not work. You can't rearm anything. I've had these bags flat on the ground and they still don't rearm, so there's something super buggy with the supply bags. But unfortunately, we don't have a fix for the supply bags just yet, but we do have the fix for the supply pouch, which wouldn't resupply. So if you run the supply pouch, then you're good to go. If you run the supply bag, it still looks to be a little bit bugged. Additionally, buildings now take more hits to be destroyed by a sledgehammer. So this is probably for the good. Great seeing clips of one person with a sledgehammer literally swinging once or twice an entire building coming down, but it's probably gameplay-wise for the better that one person needs to do a lot more damage until these buildings collapse. So if you want to destroy buildings easily, you got 4 more days to do it. All right, weapons. So there are 2 main things that we need to take away from the patch notes on weapons. The first, we talked about it briefly, but weapon dispersion has now been changed. Lower damage weapons will now see a slightly higher increase in dispersion when firing, so lower damage weapons like your SMGs, while higher damage weapons will experience slightly less, like your assault rifles. So the intention here is that the dispersion for these SMGs should increase, meaning that the SMG is not going to be accurate at the ranges that it currently is accurate. It is way too good for what it is, and the assault rifles, I'm not saying they're all useless, but it's definitely not in a good spot. Everyone is using SMGs, so dispersion I'm hoping we see a little bit of a shuffling in terms of what weapons people like to use. Additionally, another huge topic was sniper rifle accuracy. There was, I don't want to say it was a stealth change, because it technically was written down that if you were using a sniper rifle and you were not a recon class, then you would be not as accurate with that sniper rifle. I think most people interpreted that as like your weapon sway would be more, maybe you wouldn't be able to hold your breath as much, but sniper rifles, the bloom, the bullets would go so randomly whenever you fired if you were not using recon class. So in Season 1, using sniper rifles with any class other than recon will no longer increase weapon spread. Instead, the weapon sway will now begin during the zoom transition, maintaining balance and distinguishing recon's precision advantage. So you still have a reason to play recon. You have the one-shot or the headshot insta-kill benefit if you do play recon, and additionally, you will have less weapon sway. So if you do want to pretty much run snipers, you are still better off running it as recon, but you no longer have the wild inaccuracies if you choose to use this with other classes. Now, one cool feature that might get lost in everything is that the devs have added visible bomb meshes to armed MCOMs in Rush. Just a nice quality of life feature. So you should actually see like a bomb now added to the MCOM whenever someone does plant it. I love that. It's a little stuff like that that just makes the game feel so cool. So huge win on that one. Now, one thing that is kind of cool is gadgets will now have a completely reworked UI. They'll have 3D previews for certain gadgets to show their deployed state. So if you have a gadget, you just have it in your select screen, but it's also going to show you what it looks like when you do drop it and deploy it. Also going to have preview videos demonstrating how gadgets work. It's been in as so many Battlefield games. It gives you a nice little clip of a loop of how that works. Absolutely love that. And also added new cosmetic options for selected gadgets. It was that friendly guy. Yeah, that friendly guy. He got 1 million player score from just reviving. And he was like, hey, when are we going to get gold defibs, right? So I don't know. Maybe we will get gold defibs or other gadget cosmetics. But really cool to see this type of stuff, especially for those of y'all who really use 1 or 2 gadgets. Personally, I'd love RPG cosmetics. I can't wait to see what they got here. And finally, to wrap it up, audio fixes. The biggest one here, fix an issue where footstep sounds were missing when moving with the knife equipped. Yes, all those videos and tips and clips and posts on Reddit and Twitter saying, hey, make sure you run with your knife equipped because you run faster, which you do. Well, sometimes footstep sounds were missing, so that's probably why you felt like footsteps were just not there. They actually were not there. So huge, huge bug fix there. They have a whole bunch of other audio changes, improvements to missile sounds, new sound effects for bulletin and takeover sections of the main menu, reveal animations, audio polish for several weapons. Some things like EMR was using suppressed audio when unsuppressed. Nice little quality of life changes for the audio here. But that wraps up all of the important need-to-know patch notes for Tuesday. We're going to swap on over to the other bulletin because there's some really important information on the future of assignments, challenges, and hopefully they can fix a lot of what we've been complaining about for the past couple weeks. All right, swapping over to the next post, and the big one, custom search has been fixed. I've been using custom search a lot recently, and as I said, we've made some adjustments to improve how accurately matchmaking aligns with your selected map and mode preferences. The system still maintains flexibility to support reasonable queue time, so players with more specific selections may notice slightly longer waits. We'll keep monitoring custom search performance and continue fine-tuning as needed. I've been using this for, I think, the past week or so, trying to just get larger maps, trying to just get, Conquest Large specifically, and it has now been working. I am very impressed that this is now working. Custom search, when the game first launched, I did Conquest, and then I asked for Murak Valley, Operation Firestorm, and I got put into like Breakthrough Iberian or something, or Empire State. So custom search, if you haven't used it for a while, I will say right now, as it says live now, custom search has been working. I definitely recommend it. They also fixed the vehicle spawn bug. They said deployed a targeted backend change to address an issue where vehicles could sometimes fail to spawn as expected across certain maps and game modes. This would break, like this would absolutely break Manhattan Bridge when one side had air superiority and the other one didn't. One interesting thing though is that we saw that this backend change had slightly positive impact on breakthrough win rates. No way, really? Yeah, Murak Valley, the first sector, it's so cool. The trenches, the blown out village and stuff, absolutely love that. But if you don't get your tank and IFV on Murak Valley breakthrough, oh man, you're just going to get farmed for 200 tickets. It's a fun breakthrough map. I'm not a huge fan of breakthrough. I prefer conquest, but that was a fun breakthrough map, and I've had so much more fun now that we actually have our vehicles and can break through. Really, really well done there. And also, we talked about this earlier in the week, but Porter server availability, XP changes to bot servers and XP farm servers means that you can run more Portal servers with real experiences. Now, the upcoming changes. Player movement. We are actively refining player movement to address areas that previously felt inconsistent while staying true to the gameplay pace and maintaining the core feel of the launch experience. In parallel, we are enhancing sight stability by minimizing reticle movement during specific animations. These adjustments aim to deliver a smoother and more precise aiming experience, all while preserving an immersive first-person feel. The way that I'm reading this is that the momentum changes. Sometimes the sliding would be, you kind of get rocketed forward, and it felt very odd. Additionally, if you were jumping and sliding and moving, the reticles would kind of bounce around all over the place. If you look in past battlefields, you could still kind of do quite a lot of movement without having your weapon bounce around. So actually minimizing reticle movement during certain animations and moving, that is very Battlefield. So I'm happy to see that. I'm interested to see the movement changes. And once again, things that jump out to me are players that they have their momentum just shoot forward whenever they kind of run, slide, jump. And it does not look right for a Battlefield game. So hopefully we get improvements on that one. Progression, we're continuing to monitor the impact of the changes that were made last week and already seeing a smoother experience as we roll into Season 1. Some additional areas we are tracking. XP earned in Escalation and King of the Hill is not always working as intended. We're planning to significantly increase this payout to bring them in line with other modes, and we'll keep monitoring once the changes are live. The progression for experience, I've been trying to play around with a bunch of different weapons over the past week just to try them out. The unlocks are coming hard and fast for the first 20 levels. It feels like it's in a really good spot for weapon unlocks, and I feel like players can now, after a game or two, you can get at least a handful of attachments to make it controllable. It's not going to be the best weapon out there, but after 30 minutes playing with it, you can actually have a grip. You can have an optic, and you can actually feel like you're doing something. So XP changes have been great. Now, what's hilarious is that the challenges for Battlefield 6 have been kind of all over the place. You've had some that I think are pretty reasonable. Then you have some unreasonable ones, and we know how unreasonable these challenges are because they're proposing changes that are like 100% less. It's like crazy. So class assignment, Assault 1, get kills while using the adrenaline injector, 30-3. I don't like the adrenaline injector. I think the animation, it takes too long to pull the pin out, to take the cap off, to inject yourself, and to throw it away, than to actually use it. And the effect for this thing is so miserable. You kind of actively have to make poor decisions to use this injector properly. You see someone, instead of shooting them right away, you try to inject yourself and then you kill them immediately after. I personally think the challenge wasn't necessarily a problem. It's just the injector as a whole. The adrenaline injector just sucks to use. It's not very fun. The benefit is also, it's not really there. The reduced stun and stuff, not too many people are using the flash grenades. So I think having a health boost, and kind of an actual med pin would be a little bit better, so Assault gets sustain. Either way, they're reducing it from 30-3, or considering reducing it to 30-3. The class assignment, Engineer Expert, repair vehicles in a match from 6,000 repair points to 1,000. I still think 1,000 is a little low. I think maybe 2 to 3 might be a bit more. I mean, because let's be real, okay? These can't be impossible. Some of these right now are impossible. Like 6,000, you can do this. Like 45-minute conquest game on Operation Firestorm. If you just haul ass around, you always have your repair tool out, you can do this. It's tough, and you're probably going to waste a lot of games where you don't quite get there. But 1,000, I feel like is a little too, especially right now when so many maps and game modes I feel like aren't tracking the repairs properly. Once you actually can track it properly, I feel like this is a little too easy. So 2,000, 3,000, I think should be a bit better. Deadeye 2, get headshot kills over 200 meters with sniper rifles from 150 to 5. This is kind of the same thing. Like, I feel like these are crazy overcorrections. In addition, a later game update will reduce the 200 meter distance. I feel like, you're a sniper, 150 kills for headshots to unlock, a significant part of your class is fine. Maybe over 100 meters would be a little bit better, but still have 150 kills. They still should be challenging. You shouldn't be able to just, I think, finish this all within a day. Like, you should spend, a couple weeks as a normal person playing, maybe like an hour or two every night to get these. And if you want to no-life them and get them done in a couple days, and go for it. But I think that might be a little too excessive. So finally, visibility, we're actively looking into adjustments to exposure and brightness. We saw this in the patch notes. This will lead to improvements in places where players have experienced blinding light when looking outdoors, overly dark interiors when looking indoors, and lack of visibility around weapon optics when zooming in. Your peripherals, it'd be very hard to see stuff. So these adjustments are part of a wider pass focused on improving visibility that we expect and complete later in Season 1. Finally, the weapon dispersion, we mentioned it previously, but they've also said that they've fixed a bug that caused dispersion to not decrease as expected when transitioning from sprinting to prone. And just to reiterate this, they did specify this: post-sprint firing, weapons fired immediately after sprinting while zoomed could retain higher dispersion, reducing accuracy. And then movement start, dispersion was increasing faster than it should when players began moving, making even small adjustments unexpectedly impact precision. So this was especially noticeable on controllers. So if you're a controller player and you're just having issues after moving and not hitting anything, well, maybe that was the reason. And lastly, we have like little crumbs of information on Battle Royale. And we see here Battle Royale mode, learnings and updates. And they haven't specifically said when they're dropping the BR. We're hearing rumors that it will be stealth dropped this Tuesday, so keep an eye out. But they've changed some time to kill. So we've adjusted time to kill at close range for all weapons to reward clean positioning and tracking while giving players more time to counter attacks. They do want the ability to get ambushed and turn around, and if you are a better player, even though that guy had better positioning, you might be able to eke out a win. Armor changes. Everyone will now have the capacity for 2 armor plates at the start of the game. All players will spawn with 1 plate, so you have the chance to upgrade as soon as you start looting, giving everyone an equal chance at upgrading their armor fully. World improvements. We've been fixing pesky world bugs and optimizing areas to improve the environment, as well as lighting and visibility improvements we've seen before. Vehicle balance. We've adjusted the balance for helicopters and combat vehicles to keep them as powerful tools, showing off Battlefield's core DNA without making them necessary to survive or win the late game. That is everything. Battlefield just dropped today. Man, there is so much information packed in here going into the weekend. Season 1 officially drops on Tuesday, October 28th, and I'm reading everything here, and they're just wins. Everything that they're fixing, I've complained about. Everyone's complained about, not that I'm unique to complaining about it, but it's all these little tiny things that kind of add up and make for a frustrating experience, so I cannot wait to actually get in, update the game, and then start off Season 1. But what do you guys think? Is this hitting on some of the pain points you guys were experiencing? Do you like certain things like the XP changes? What about the assignment changes? Do you think some of them are okay, but just need a little bit of tweaking? Let me know your thoughts. And BR potentially Tuesday, Season 1 Battle Pass. It's all going to start soon, so see you guys out there. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and drop me a comment down below. We'll see ya.